and welcome back, my fairies. I'm Matsuyorific, and today we are back with more Miraculous, but this time it's Miraculous Paris, Tales of Shadybug and Claw Noir. So for those of you who are new to this channel, first of all, welcome. We get around copyright by doing artwork instead of showing clips. So I hope you enjoy this art of my gender-bent OC of Adriana, and her evil counterpart, Kitty Wrath. I did a poll and asked you guys if you preferred the name Kitty Wrath over /Noir, and an overwhelming amount of you guys voted for Kitty Wrath, so her name is Kitty Wrath, so I hope you enjoyed that. Normally I do the intro first, and then I go to watch the special, but for some reason OBS didn't want to record when I recorded the intro before, so I've already watched the episode. So going into this, I already knew that this was going to be an AU special, which if you've seen my Kitty Noir comics, you know that I love some crossover AUs. So yeah, this was definitely something that I was looking forward to. I somehow avoided a lot of the spoilers outside of the one trailer that we got, so I didn't really know too much more going into this other than the basic premise, which really is kind of all that I needed to know, to be perfectly honest. So yeah, I actually really like this special. Normally I go through my reviews plot point by plot point, but this time I decided I'm gonna go through it a little bit differently and instead just focus on like different aspects of the special and go through those certain aspects, starting with how things are in the Shadybug and Claw Noir world. I'm just gonna call it the Shady Claw world for the sake of simplicity. So in Shady Claw, we get the Supreme Ruler, whom we never find out who exactly the Supreme Ruler is. We know that they are he, him, and I suspect that this could be Master Fu. I highly suspect that this could be an evil Master Fu. We seriously need to get more about the Shady Claw world because, oh my goodness, we barely saw anything of it. We only get to hear about it, which was a huge... a huge cry. Like, we need a spin-off or another special or something. Give us more of this alternate universe. I need it, please. But the Supreme Ruler rules over the Shady Claw world and has basically made goodness outlawed and, you know, like thievery and all that stuff. You know, that's the law of the world, you know. And Gabriel originally was one of the ones that he chose to have a Miraculous, but he saw that, you know, he saw the harm that it was doing to the world and decided that he didn't want to be a part of that, so he turned himself around to become Better Moth. I hate that name. I do not, or no, it's Betterfly. Like a pun on butterfly, but it's Betterfly. I honestly hate the name. I feel like the fandom name that was brought up, Light Moth, is honestly better. Like, Light Moth is cringy as it is, but Better Moth, or Betterfly? Yeah, that's pretty cringy, but I don't know if I'll even be able to remember that because of how much I don't like it. But Betterfly, he became Betterfly and formed a resistance with Alia and Nino and some other people. We see in the intro Max, or at least a digitized version of Max's face, coming from a screen that looks like a giant Markov head. And I'm just like, did something happen to Max in this world? Is this an AI version of Max, and did something happen to Max? I want to know what happened to Max! Oh my gosh! So, yeah, they decide that they managed to get the frequency of Nadia Shamak's broadcast from the Season 5 startup, where she's talking about how Ladybug lost all of the Miraculous to Shadowmoth, who's now changed his name to Monarch. And this actually takes place after episode 3, like literally right at the end of episode 3, Destruction, which is the episode where Monarch gets Cat Noir to cataclysm him so that he can escape. And it's like we actually finally get to see Adrian dealing with the fact that he just cataclysmed somebody. But anyways, they get that signal and say, oh hey, there's a version of them that are good in this other world, Ladybug and Cat Noir. We can get their help, and maybe they can help us to stop Shadybug and Claw Noir. So they go to that other world, and it basically, you know, picks up right where episode 3 left off. We also get other info later on that Shadybug and Claw Noir do not change back after using their powers, which Tiki explains as there being a failsafe. So we actually get a little bit of lore in this episode, and the way that Tiki describes it, it's kind of like the failsafe in Ben 10, where the Omnitrix will de-transform Ben back to normal after about 10 minutes, especially when he's a kid, because otherwise the alien DNA would corrupt him. Well, the same thing is kind of happening here. Because Marinette and Adrian are still too young to be able to use their powers back to back like that, the Miraculous has a failsafe which changes them back after 5 minutes once they use their powers. And we get to see with Shadybug and Claw Noir that overusing their powers the way that they have been, because using their powers for evil has overridden the failsafe, it is slowly killing them from the inside. And we get to see that, like, they're like these black veins going up through their faces that they tend to cover with makeup and stuff. Yeah, it's slowly killing them, and they were not told by the Supreme Ruler at the beginning that that using these powers like this would kill them. So they want to try to use the wish so that they can get through that. It's unclear if they knew about the wish beforehand or not. I think, okay, so from what we get, it's at least seems like the Supreme Ruler told them that if they help him, then he will grant them any wish that they want. And but it's not told to them that they can have a wish granted on their own by combining their two Miraculous together. They're also not told about the cost of making said wish, because Shadybug, when she finds out, she's horrified, like, oh my gosh, what? Now she still tries to make a wish, but then it turns out that the Supreme Ruler has blocked it somehow. So they are unable to make a wish themselves without the Supreme Ruler's knowledge or say-so. Which, I have to wonder, how does that work? Like, how did he do that? It's like, assuming that this is Fu, like, how would Fu be able to put this command on Gimme? Because Gimme is supposed to be like this all-powerful deity, so it's weird. That part's not really explained how they do that, but, you know, it's also a kids show, so they have to keep it somewhat simplified. They don't have to explain absolutely everything, you know? It's one of those moments where you just have to suspend your disbelief. It's fine. But, yeah, so that's basically what's going on in that world. And in this world, Marinette never became friends with Alia, so she succumbed to all of the bullying that she received from Chloe, which in her mind justified how she was acting. And this goes back into what I've been talking about on this channel for a while now, about the differences between excuses and reasons. She has a reason. In her mind, this is her reason for why she acts this way. And she uses that to excuse her actions. Same for Adrian. Adrian never got over the loss of his mother, whereas Gabriel did. So Gabriel never used Emily's death as an excuse to do evil and all this stuff. Whereas Adrian, he still didn't get the attention that he needed from Gabriel, but he regressed even more so and was never able to get over the loss of his mother. So he became Claw Noir, hoping to get his wish granted so that he could bring his mother back. Which is like, oh, he's still my son. Oh, my poor boy. He also apparently never went to school and got to be friends with Nino and all the others too, which again makes sense considering the fact that a lot of his support comes from his friends. They are the ones who support him in his time of need. And Claw Noir never got that. So yeah, that's basically, I think that's pretty much everything I can think of. They didn't make it clear if Gabriel's identity is known to Alia or Nino, but they do know that they are working together. They might, though. It's not made clear, but there is still a possibility that they might know who he is, because when we see them in the intro part, they are in the sanctuary, but Emily is not there, so another hint that Gabriel actually moved on. He actually listened to Emily's wishes and moved on, because she's not there. But actually, I know this is a review, but theory time, it's actually very possible that he went along with the Supreme Ruler, but just intending to use the wish to bring back Emily, and then decided that hurting people wasn't worth it. Interesting thought. I might make a separate video about that, but there's not really much more to do. Talk about it with that. Anyways, but yeah. So it's not really clear if they know Gabriel's identity, but they're at least working together with him. Yeah, a lot of stuff really isn't made clear. So a lot of stuff is like left pretty ambiguous at best. So yeah. Oh, please give us a spin-off. We need the spin-off. So yeah, moving on and focusing on what's happening in our Paris. You gotta admit, that is a lot to happen in 24 hours. The season 4 finale took place the day before. The timeline of events is the season 4 finale happens during the day and then ends in the evening. And then Felix gives the miraculous to Gabriel. Gabriel becomes monarch, and then he goes and travels back through time, and they have to stop him from traveling through time. And then after they stop him from traveling through time and get back the bunny miraculous, then Monarch shows up in Marinette's room demanding this gift that the Kwamis are saying he has to ask her for. And then she sends him on this wild goose chase, transforms, they go and fight Monarch at the museum, Monarch gets cataclysmed, and then he comes home, and you can see the cataclysm damage on his arm, so you know that tells you right there, this happened right after destruction. And then he goes to check on Adrian, but he can't bring himself to do it because he's still suffering from what just happened. And then all of this happens in the special. Like, that is a lot to happen in 24 hours. When the special ends, it is the next morning. The end of this special is finally the day after the season 4 finale. My gosh, that is a lot to happen in 24 hours. Like, the girl has been up all night. I feel bad for Marinette and Alia and Adrian. Not so much for our world Gabriel. But, oh my goodness. So, yeah, anyways. So, right after going through all of that, we get some, like, series flashbacks where we see them, like, you know, recounting some of the stuff that has happened over the past 4 seasons. And we see them talking about, you know, stuff that's been going on and everything. And then Alia suddenly gets akumatized, or I forget what they called it in this version, but it's not an akuma. It's something else completely. But I can't remember what it was, so we're just gonna say akumatized. So she gets akumatized and transforms, and then Betterfly comes through, and talks to Marinette. But then, I forget what her akumatized name was, but akumatized Alia is like, it's actually the other world Alia speaking through her, and it's like, oh, I'm sorry, but they found us. They forced me to open the portal, and Butterfly's like, oh no, those two are coming. I don't want you, an innocent bystander, to get hurt through this. So he takes Marinette away to protect her, and Marinette is all confused, like, what is going on? This guy looks like Monarch, but he's not, but he also doesn't look like Monarch, but he's still the butterfly holder? What is going on? Like, the girl has to, you know the girl's freaking out from all this. So, yeah, he takes her to safety, and then we finally see Shadybug and Noir arrive on the scene, and they start fighting Butterfly after he puts Marinette somewhere safe and tells her to hide, and he tells her that, you know, you're an innocent bystander, I'm sorry for dragging you into this, please find somewhere safe, I don't want you getting hurt. It's like, okay, that is quite a shift from the Monarch that she just saw an hour ago. So yeah, she sees them fighting, and then Tiki explains to her about alternate universes and all that, and as somebody who has a bunch of different AUs, I loved this scene. Basically, canonizing every miraculous fanfiction out there. Saying that this is all one, like, that there is an, basically, they don't use the word omniverse, but they basically explain that there is an omniverse where there are an infinite number of alternate realities where different things happen. It's like, oh my gosh, yes. Love the, I love a good omniverse. You guys should know that by now. Oh my goodness. So yeah, so she explains how, you know, she knows about these alternate realities because she's lived alongside the other versions of herself in these alternate realities, but she never told Marinette about it before because it would take too long to explain, and it's just really complicated, so it's just simpler to, you know, to just live in the moment in the world that she's in right now, which also canonizes in a way my gender bend AUs, because I always keep Tiki and Plag and all the other Kwamis the same, because the Kwamis are technically genderless beings. So, and while they do tend to use gendered pronouns, they themselves don't have a gender, so there's no gender to swap. So yeah, they are literally right in the middle of the spectrum, so there's no all other side of the spectrum because they are right smack in the center. It's like, I love it. I was so like, yes! My fanfics are canon! Oh gosh, that means that there's another universe where Marinette actually did get akumatized into Princess Amore and became a yandere. Oh my god. Okay, focus, sorry. ADD, fanfic writer. Oh, my brain is going all over the place, but I love it! This special is a creator's dream! It is a creative's dream! Oh my goodness, you have no idea. So yeah, Tiki explains all that, and then Marinette's like, okay, well, you know, clearly this butterfly holder is the good guy, so she transforms and goes to help him fight, and then Noir appears and they fight as well, and oh my gosh, them showcasing how how Shadybug and Noir are different, but also they're still the same people, especially with Noir still making even more cat puns. Like, every single sentence out of this man's mouth is a cat pun, and I love it. I absolutely loved it. If you can't tell, I really liked this special. This was so good. Oh my goodness. Then, not gonna lie, got a little bit trauma triggered here, because then, you know, they're getting overpowered Claw Noir even got forced Cat Noir to cataclysm him. It's like, why would you do that? Because I'm the cool cat. Like, oh my gosh, that's so cringe. But I love you. I love you because of your cringe. Oh, this is my son in his purest form. Anyway, but yeah, so they're struggling. So Butterfly decides to akumatize Cat Noir. And he is in all white, and I'm like, oh no, the Cat Noir flashbacks. But he still has his green eyes. So we have seen 3 different versions of Cat Noir getting akumatized. There's the official one with Chat There's the dream one where he has the blue hair, which didn't actually happen, but it was in his mind. And then we get this angel version of him, where his eyes are still green, but everything else is Chat Blanc's color palette, and he has these angel wings. And I just realized this was foreshadowed. You guys, this was foreshadowed back in season 4, when Adrian was doing that modeling shoot, and he asked Marinette to come help him because the wing broke. It was foreshadowed! Oh my gosh, it could just be a coincidence, but if you look at it like that, it's like these are in production for way longer than you would think. Like, it takes so long. Once they are already working on the next season while they are producing the current season. Like, you gotta remember that. Season 5 was already being worked on while Season 4 was in production. So it is actually very possible that that could have been intentional foreshadowing. With Adrian in that angel's outfit that was all white with the white wings. Like, oh my gosh. Foreshadowing. Especially considering the fact that that was most likely Gabriel's intention, because Adrian is the model for the Aggressed brand. And then here comes this alternate version of his father giving him a white outfit and angel wings. Oh my goodness. Anyways, so yeah, so they're able to get away by akumatizing Chat Noir, and then once they've gotten away, he deakumatizes him. Also, Chat is completely in control of himself the entire time, and it's like, yes, oh my goodness. But anyways, so they meet up with Alia after they discuss everything, and who lets them know that, hey, I recorded this in your room of Monarch, our Monarch meeting up with the other 2, and they've got this plan. So they're able to create their own counter plan. And then it's kind of skipping around. Like I said, this is going to be a different structure from how I normally do. But anyways, so yeah, they come up with this counter plan where oh my gosh, going back and forth. Butterfly is basically gives Ladybug his miraculous, and then she akumatizes Alia. So, like, oh my goodness. To basically trick Monarch, Shadybug, and Claw Noir so that they can separate them. And Monarch is like, okay, well, he does manage to figure out that it's a trap, but he can't really do much other than run away. So that was interesting. Going back a little bit further, focusing a bit more on Marinette and Adrian. So Shadybug and Claw Noir, after they have their fight with Ladybug and Cat Noir, they go back to Marinette's room and start looking for clues. And that's when Shadybug finds Marinette's diary, realizing that, oh, of course that Ladybug is the other version of me. And she's like so grossed out by Marinette having a crush on Adrian, which just makes me think that the love square was like reversed from the start in this other universe, which we get that later on as well, confirmation of it. But she goes through Marinette's diary and she starts crying and she's smiling and she's like, oh my gosh, this other me has such a great life. Like, I never had this. Basically just, you know, crying over the life that she could have had, but didn't have. The life that was robbed from her. Partially because of the Supreme Overlord, but also because of Chloe. Because again, this is a marionette who who didn't get any support at all. Not even with Alia. So she didn't even have Alia to support her, so she just succumbed to all of the bullying that she sustained over the years from Chloe. Which means that my theory of this being a alternate universe where Chloe was actually the good person is out the window. Chloe's still a biscuit. Good to know. Good to know that I don't have to feel bad for Chloe in another universe. Yeah, so then she finds the bit about the wish and how that works, and she's like, oh my gosh, this is what the Supreme Overlord was keeping from us. If me and Claw Noir combine our miraculous, I can make a wish to change our world to be like this one. So she betrays Claw Noir. She gets out to the... I actually thought she was turning good here, but it wasn't the case. She gets a lucky charm of some handcuffs, and she just, you know, completely blindsides Claw and takes his miraculous, and she sees, wait, you're Adrian Agreste? And she's disgusted by it. And she's like all confused too, and so she wipes his face. It's like, oh, okay, you're wearing makeup. And that's where we see why the failsafe was in place, because they are being destroyed from the inside by overusing their powers, like I said earlier. And that's where we finally get to see that. So she tries to make the wish, but she can't because the Supreme Overlord somehow stops it. And then she reveals her identity to Adrian. And Adrian realizes that even though he never met Marinette, he still recognized her and kind of had a crush on her from the one time he saw her through a window. And we also get to see an alternate version of his bodyguard who's wearing all white. So, yeah, in this little flashback, they stopped by the Tu Pen Chang Bakery and, you know, got some whatever. They don't really focus on what it is that they got. But Adrian saw Marinette and just instantly fell for her. Now, it's unclear if he ever got to meet her after that, because it seems like he never went to school in this alternate universe. They don't specify that he didn't, but that's what it kind of feels like they're implying that. Yeah, he started crushing on her after that. So anyways, yeah. So we got a bit of a reverse love square here. And he's like, oh my gosh, he starts blushing when she talks to him and stuff, but she doesn't seem to have any interest in him at this point. But they agree that they're going to take Ladybug and Cat Noir's miraculous so that they can make their wish without being disrupted by the Supreme Ruler, so that they can have their world transformed into the perfect world. We also get to see something that broke my heart a bit. Even Gabriel wasn't this cruel. I mean, he was a little bit in this for one scene, but then he's like, oh, even I'm not that cruel. We see Tiki and Plag, and their mouths are being covered by this thing that looks like it's got the symbol of the miracle boxes on it, and it's like they can't even talk. Marinette and Adrian, I don't know if it's Marinette and Adrian or if it's the Supreme Ruler. It was probably the Supreme Ruler who put the seal on them, but they can't even talk. So they're not allowed to talk at all. And I guess if I'm really thinking about it, that could be how the Supreme Ruler is stopping Gimme from granting this wish, because of this seal that's placed on them. So that could be it. Again, it's never explained. We need more of this universe to explain things, please! Please explain! I need to know more! But anyways, so yeah, they decide to steal the miraculous, but they fail. When they get per Ladybug's plan, they end up getting separated from everybody. So Ladybug and Shadybug are fighting alone at the school, whereas Cat Noir and Claw Noir are fighting alone at the pool. And they manage to get each other alone so that they can try to talk things through with them. And Shadybug goes off on Marinette about how Ladybug, who eventually does change back into Marinette, but she goes off on her about, having this perfect life, how she wouldn't understand because, Shady doesn't have this perfect life with amazing friends that are always there for her, or this perfect boyfriend. And I'm guessing that's more like an assumption, because, again, this is before Marinette and Adrian get together. Marinette doesn't correct her, but it's also kind of like an assumption. So I don't think it's like a continuity error. I think it's more like an assumption that she's making based on the diary. But she's like, I don't have all this stuff that you have. My life was ruined by Chloe, and all of this awful stuff happened to me. And Ladybug then de-transforms, and for some reason Nuru's not there. Like, can we go back and edit Nuru back into that scene, please? Nuru deserves to be there, I'm sorry. But she tells her that, her life isn't perfect either. She's had all these hardships as well, but she chose not to let them affect her in that way. Getting back into what I said earlier about reasons versus excuses. Our Marinette had every reason to follow the same path as Shadybug, but she chose not to use that as an excuse. She chose not to be a bad person and to use the bad things that have happened to her to excuse any bad actions that she would do. Now, she has made some poor choices, that is for sure. But even Marinette has made that association. Even Marinette has acknowledged when she makes a bad decision. She acknowledged that it was her fault Lila got akumatized into Volpina. She acknowledged that she made a mistake by calling Chloe useless. She has acknowledged those things. She acknowledges that it was her fault that Master Fu got caught because she was so focused on Adragami that she didn't focus on what she needed to focus on, and it was her fault that Master Fu had to give up being the Guardian. She acknowledges that she didn't pay enough attention to recognize that Felix wasn't Adrian, and that it was partially due to her own obsession with him. She acknowledges that is the reason why she lost the miraculous. And that's something a lot of people tend to overlook, is that she does acknowledge when she makes a mistake. There are mistakes that she has made that don't fully get acknowledged, and I've called her out on that too. But there are times when she does acknowledge that she has made a huge mistake that has negatively affected the people around her. If she makes a mistake and it doesn't have any serious negative repercussions, there's no acknowledgement there. But if it does, she does acknowledge it. And here Marinette is acknowledging that she is in charge of her own life. She has the choice to either use the negative things that have happened to her as an excuse to be negative herself, or she can choose to accept the fact that sometimes life just sucks, and the only thing you can do is to try to move forward and be the best you that you can be. And she passes this lesson on to Shadybug, who realizes that she's right. She did make those choices, and she was making those excuses for herself. So she decides to finally use her miraculous Shadybug to fix everything. And her costume changes to a more Ladybug-like costume, though she still has the highlights in her hair, which, it's fine. Her hairstyle looks more like Marinette's, like Ladybug's, but she still has the streaks, which, it's really cool. I like it. And then we switch over to Cat Noir and Claw Noir, and they're also having a very similar conversation. and Claw Noir unloads on Cat Noir about how, you know, his mother died, and, you know, he wants to bring her back. And that's when Cat Noir has the realization, he really is me. Like, they suspected it earlier, but now he's like, oh, you really are me. And he's like, I do understand you. I lost my mother too. And Claw manages to take Adrian's Miraculous, and he transforms back and is like, yeah, I do understand, I'm you. And they manage to have this heart-to-heart where Adrian tells him, you know, I was sad about my mom. I do miss her. I'm still sad about her. But I have my friends who can support me. I was able to move on and find happiness. And you can too. You just need to make friends. You know, you could be friends. You know, go meet your version of My Best Friend Nino. Go watch this movie that he absolutely loves. I thought the plot was super convoluted, but you know, I still watched it because I was with Nino. And Claw's like, yeah, that movie sounds like it sucks, but now I want to watch it too. And it's like, yes, my son has always been in there. So yeah, he decides not to. So yeah, he gets rid of his cataclysm, and the two have their heart-to-heart, and they go back to find the others. But his costume doesn't change until he meets up with the others, and he sees Shadybug's new costume, and she's like, yeah, you could do this too. And he's like, really? And Cat Noir's like, yeah, you could. Don't you know you control your costume? It's like they're bringing back the continuity from Catwalker. Finally, the episode doesn't feel skippable. I mean, you could still skip it, but like that episode really is skippable. It's like, yeah, at least have a bit more reason to watch that episode now. So yeah, it's like, yeah, don't you know you control your suit? So he changes his costume to be a bit more good guy, and his hair changes back to blonde, but it's more of a golden blonde. And it's like, yes, I love that, because I never liked the green hair of Catwalker, which is why for my gender bend version, I made her hair gold. And so him having the golden hair is like, yes, I love it, I love it, I love it. So they get ready to head back to their universe, but then they find out that Monarch is using the Rooster power to give himself the ability to go to other worlds. And so Butterbug akumatizes Betterfly akumatizes Ladybug, gives her the power to teleport to other worlds as well, and she basically just stops Monarch in every world that he goes to. And I was really hoping for a gender bent world, but unfortunately we didn't get that. We did get some cool AUs though, one where it was Scarabella and Kitty Noir the entire time, like Zoe Kitty Noir, Black Minette, as I prefer to refer to her as, because Kitty Noir is my gender bent Cat Noir. Anyways, but yeah, one where those two are the holders and are fighting Monarch, but Ladybug stops him there. We see another one where she teams up with Cat Noir. We see one where it's Mr. Bug and her. We see one where they're in like comic book worlds, which was really cool. Still no gender bend one. I'm still salty that there wasn't a gender bend AU. Give me a canon gender bend AU, please. But anyways, yeah, that manages to convince Gabriel not to go to these other worlds, to target Ladybug and Cat Noir in these other worlds. And that's basically it for the special. We also get Marinette talking to her mom and stuff. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So yeah, that's the special. I really liked this special, if you guys couldn't tell. I hope you guys did too. So I'm gonna go ahead and end this here. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this video, then be sure to leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe for more videos from me. We do all sorts of fun stuff on this channel, including playing video games, we do art, and I'll sometimes talk about cartoons, anime. Normally my thoughts are more put together than this, but there was a lot to talk about with this, while also not a lot at the same time. Thank you guys for watching. As always, I hope you all have a very magical day.